Right. Yeah. Oh, nice. Okay. Wait, those are actually here.
I call the Board of Directors meeting to order for April 12th, 2023. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And Denise, can we get a roll call, please?
That's Director Walper,
Here.
Director Martinez,
Here.
Director Berman,
Here.
Director Johnston,
Here.
Director Shibahara,
Here.
Vice Chair Wheeler,
Here.
and Chair Rydell.
Here.
We have a quorum.
All right. Welcome, everyone. Happy board meeting night. So Denise, was the meeting properly notified?
Yes, it was.
Awesome. All right, so first up is a motion to either approve or amend the agenda as presented.
Chair Wheeler, I move to approve the agenda.
Chair Wheeler or Chair Rydell?
Sorry, Chair Riddell.
Okay.
Vice Chair Wheeler, second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any comments?
Okay.
All right, all in favor, raise your right hand.
Motion carries.
All right, on to Board of Directors reports, and as always, we'll start at that end of the table with Director Walper.
I have nothing.
Thank you, sir. Director Berman.
Nothing to report, thanks.
Director Shibahara.
Same.
Same. Wow, this is going quick. Director Martinez.
Same.
Director Johnston, you thought you'd have a little time to think, didn't
No,
you?
I'll talk to him. I just wanted to give a shout out to the district for helping with all the fields, getting everything prepped for the baseball season. Youth baseball has 3 short of 400 kids this year. And so it is running strong right now. We will play 10 tournaments in Estacada, all weekends of May and June. And so there's a lot of growth in the community, a lot of interest in youth baseball and softball. And we're looking forward to a strong season. Games start as early as next week.
Thank goodness for all that dry weather.
Yeah, good dry weather. Yeah.
All right, thank you, Director Johnston. Vice Chair Wheeler.
3 things. Outdoor school, first year back at it, full speed ahead, and it's my family's first chance to actually go to a outdoor school. So I have a 6th grader in Eugene without his phone, but with his friends, so everything is good. I can't wait to hear when he comes back. To piggyback on Mr. Johnston's comment, youth baseball is in full swing. All the spring sports are in full swing. The stadium investment we made last year continues to be a huge investment into the community. Between middle school, PE going on there every day, and then from 4 o'clock until well after dark, there's anywhere from 30 to 50 kids out there enjoying themselves in various sports, track and field, baseball, softball, and anything in between. Last thing is facility condition assessment, FCA. Is that the right acronym, Mike? Yes. I should know that. I'm on that committee and been to several of the meetings. It continues to be well attended by community members and school staff. We are wading through all the nuts and bolts and screws and pipes and everything else that goes on within the Estacada School District, trying to figure out where the condition of the buildings are, and as a community, what we have the aptitude for of investing in the buildings further. So hopefully Mike and Danny and Maggie will give us a fully in-depth report later on, but it is nice to see all the new faces and a lot of faces that have been here for the long haul continue to support that group and help steer this school district in the ways of capital improvements. That's it.
All right, thank you.
May I come back with something?
Yes,
real
you
quick?
may,
Thank you.
please.
I just wanted to also call out that the high school, they had a college and career fair
Yes.
this last week, and I just know a lot of time and effort went into that, and I know my students participated, and we're really excited about the different information they learned, so I just think that's a really neat opportunity that our staff and, career and college program coordinator and such helped put together, so I just wanted to call that out.
Awesome, thank you. And I will try not to repeat anything. I'm assuming Superintendent Carpenter, you're going to talk about the DHP in your
Yes.
superintendent report, but I will just call out, we hosted 200 educators from across the country here in the last month, all in one day, mind you. So, and I would just like to commend the district, not only for earning the recognition of hosting that event, but also putting on a great day. As you can imagine, we're moving 200 out-of-town guests through classrooms at every building is quite the feat. And so I was able to attend and be here for the whole day. And it was just incredibly well run, all the way from the student ambassadors that led the groups through the schools. They were prepared, they were ready to go. So I was just very impressed. So I'm sure Ryan will share more on that.
Thank you.
And then we had a high school music festival hosted today here in Estacada. So it's always great when we can host those events. And so I know Mr. Frunk worked hard to get that put on, and by all accounts, it went extremely well. I'm looking forward to catching up with the kids when I get home. And then again, the end of this month, we have 2 students that qualified for the state solo competition, one instrumental, one vocalist. And so looking forward to them representing the district at the end of this month, I believe, at Mountainside High School. So, and that's all I have. Moving on. Item D, district report. So let's start with communications. Maggie Kelly, come on down. And Danny.
Yes, also Dan.
Not written on my paper. If it's not written on my paper, I don't say it.
Also joined by Danny Randall this evening. So I'll just briefly go over communications, and then Danny will talk about her field as community liaison. So some of the projects in progress right now, of course, you'll hear a lot about this from various people tonight, but long-range planning has been a big focus for us. And in communications, one thing that's important to us is not just running good meetings for the people at those meetings, but exposing our broader community to those meetings as well. We just put out a brief video on how the progress is going. We talked with some participants, Mike Ware and Christina Irish, just to give people a brief recap of how it's going. We also toured the schools. We have our last school tomorrow because we wanted our schools to have input on that as well. So we're looking forward to just kind of disseminating that information throughout the community in more digestible bites than 2-hour sessions. So it's been great to continue that communication and ensure that our community understands how we're walking through this process as well. We're also working on strategic planning right now. We just concluded some great focus groups. We had student focus groups, parent focus groups, and staff focus groups. We also had individual interviews, and we got a lot of great information. We plan to put out a survey to our community in the next couple of weeks. We're giving a little survey break for this current survey, but we want to hear from our community. Are we on the right track before we put down a strategic plan in pen? So that's the next steps. And then I just mentioned surveys. Of course, we're in the midst of survey distribution in our schools with employees and parents and students. I will share that the parent participation, I think we still have a ways to go. In terms of our score, we're at around a 4, which is higher than we were in the fall. So I'm excited to see that. But in terms of participation, I think I looked earlier today and we are at about 250. So again, we'd really like to be closer to 500. So we have quite a bit more work to do. We've done our traditional communication, but I think another push is clearly needed as well. Some of the projects we've completed, as I mentioned, strategic plan focus groups have been a great wealth of information. We talked with a really wide variety of people, which was nice. We hosted a parent tech night for our Spanish-speaking families after some feedback from our monthly Spanish-speaking family nights that technology can be a struggle. So we were happy to have our technology department come in and sit with families and just kind of an open house. So we had several families come through and just sit with them through setting up Power School or making sure they're getting the emails, whatever was needed. And then, of course, DHP communication, that was a great thing to be able to showcase the tremendous work that was put in by everyone. We had some education media attention, which is always great to hear. And then we really wanted to showcase to our community and staff that they can be proud of this. So we interviewed some people that attended that had nothing but wonderful things to say. So it was great to cover all of that. And I'll turn it over to Danny.
Okay. I have been working on a lot of things as far as outreach is concerned. Like Maggie was saying, we've been working on our long range planning and our strategic planning. So there has been a lot of contacting people in the community that we can bring in so that we have a wide variety of input and opinions and understanding of our district and all the things we've accomplished. Been working with Maggie and Mike on the long range planning meetings and really enjoying the time deep diving with our group. I think we have a really great group of people who are really invested and have a lot of questions and a lot of feedback on how we can move forward and how to reach our community as a whole. The next thing that I've really been working on is welcome packages for new community members. So we've been pinpointing people who have moved into our community, and I'm working on building a welcome package, if you will, which will have some Estacada swag in there and then some tickets to a athletic event or any event through Hometown. So they'll be able to come to one of our events for free, and a nice welcome note and just saying welcome to our district and we're excited to have you. Also mailers, so we went ahead and pulled all of our current registered voters in our boundary, and we are going to start mailing out. That's something, a lot of feedback that I've received is that we want to pinpoint people that aren't necessarily on our email threads or our text or parent square. So Maggie and I are working on building a nice pamphlet to send out that's going to really emphasize, like you're saying, the turf, DHP, all of the things that we're proud of and things that we're working on and how we're really trying to facilitate pride and ownership throughout the entire community. And lastly, a lot of district representation at community events. So I've been going to a lot of different committees and things in Estacada, like What's Up Estacada. I was able to go to the Easter egg hunt on the turf, which was really fun, and everybody was happy it wasn't muddy. And there I had a table and I was able to reach out to our school social worker and have a lot of social or support papers there for anybody that needed it for our food pantry. We talked about the survey with people, kindergarten roundups coming up. So I'm just a presence at all of those things, answering questions and letting people know that we're there to support all of our efforts in this community.
Awesome.
Any questions for either of us?
Good job, ladies.
Yeah, nice work.
Busy.
Thank you. All right, next up, building and facilities report. Mike Ware, come on down.
Good evening. I need to just refresh this slide deck real quick. Okay, hopefully that worked.
Thank you.
One second. I promise there's a report tonight. Okay, operations report tonight. Just to kick it off with our capital improvement projects. Over spring break, River Mill seismic upgrade. We've started some preliminary work as we talked about in the past meetings. We completed some abatement and other preliminary work in 4 classrooms, as you can see in the picture below. That was successful, wasn't impactful to any teaching and learning environment or any of our students. Contractors were in and out very quickly and got a clean report from our hazard assessment. Next break, so our May break, we're taking advantage of that break as well to do the remaining 4 classrooms that need to be done in part of this seismic upgrade project. Right as of right now, all things are going smoothly. We're on pace, and we'll be starting the first week we are out of school on the major construction. So it will be hustle time come June 20th. As mentioned, long-range facility planning, meeting 3 summary, we reviewed our 4 core values. We completed a few activities. One of them was a spectrum activity, and as you see is a picture here. Based off the values and goals that the committee has set, we asked the question, does this school, and you can put school, X school in place of the sentence, meet the needs of our students, our staff, and our community? Here's a picture of the high school, where overwhelmingly the group said no. And we will be providing some updated data on the core values and goals of the committee. Next meeting, we're revising some of the questions to get more granular. That was some feedback that the committee provided to us as the core team. And so we will be bringing that back to them as well as to the board just to give a better update or an improved update. We reviewed capacity in our current enrollment, which Christina will talk about a little bit on our enrollment towards the end of this meeting. And that really had a healthy discussion on where we're headed in our current capacity and enrollment needs. We reviewed the latest housing need assessment from the city of Estacada, and seeing the growth that the city is experiencing along with our enrollment at our schools is evident that we need more space. And the group is in agreement with that. However, we still had great discussions on what opportunities still are there for the district currently and what could be in the future. And so, as the others have mentioned, Chair Wheeler has mentioned, been a great process so far. Our next meeting, we'll be conducting budget scenarios so that we can go out back to the committee. And here's a timeline of the next steps. We'll be conducting some budget scenarios and then releasing another community polling round 2 to be able to bring back to the committee and as well as the board of directors to review and analyze the data. These are proposed activities and events. These are not in concrete or set in stone, but potentially workshop with the board of directors as well as additional review for long-range facility planning to evaluate, analyze the data from budget scenarios to total need from facility condition assessment and new polling data based off those budget scenarios, and then represent the full report to the board in June, and have continued discussion on potential capital construction bonds. So that's where we're at right now. The other piece of it is we are conducting a roadshow with all of our buildings and department staff to get their voice. We're reviewing the long-range facility process with our employees. We've reached the elementary schools and the high school. Tomorrow will be the middle school. And again, this is their opportunity to tell us as a committee, and we can bring back to the committee what to focus on and what to prioritize based off their perspective and their experience.
Can I ask the polling, community polling round 2, before that happens, will that be presented to the board as far as like the progress to date and kind of what you guys are proposing or trying to get?
Yes, my understanding, and I'm speaking on behalf of Maggie Kelly here, but my understanding the questions would be given to the board again as we were before to review and to give us the approval before sending out.
Yeah. So, and then you were talking about a workshop with the board. Where were you?
Again, this is just all a proposal in terms of when that could happen. We are in a bit of a time crunch because we want to get moving forward with polling and getting that updated data. What we're proposing is potential end of May, but nothing has been set in concrete. Yep.
Thanks.
If the opportunity arises. I know that the board has discussed that in the past. A little bit over spring break, a little bit of work that was done by facility maintenance. We did a lot of detailed cleaning and maintenance of each school. All of both River Mill and CRE gyms, lights were replaced, so you can see a good picture of River Mill here, nice and bright, which is adds to the appeal and experience for our students. We did preparations and grounds care for spring sports, so not only for our youth, but for our Estacada High School and middle school spring sports. IT technology preventive maintenance on devices, programming and installing new phones, power school development, Chromebook repairs, infrastructure areas, improved network infrastructure, if you will, at each school. So very busy department. Both departments were moving quite a bit of workload around during that week while kids are out and staff are out. It's a great opportunity to get into classrooms. And then our transportation services provided 7 trips for sponsored athletic events from Sandy High School, and behind that little box says Redmond High School. So very busy for most of the operations department to make sure that we're staying on top of what we need to do. An update on district communication system, Vocera. We're currently in the contract review process, and we're negotiating reducing pricing for an implementation phase and annual service charges. Vocera is excited to partner with the Estacada School District, as we're one of the only school districts in the country that has or will be embarking on this device. And so we're working with them on how we can partner together with some reduced pricing and also advocate for their services and what they're doing for us by improving communication and safety. Our hopes are to pilot the program this spring with a handful of admin and select employees to really stress test it, to see what fixes and bugs we need to address over the summer. And then on the tech side, the wireless strength assessment, this is a picture of the high school. Essentially, all of it's green for the most part, which is good. If it's green, it means we have a good, strong signal, and the Vocera device would connect no problem and have no interruptions of communication, which is what we want to see. And so our assessment, their assessment that they came out, they brought their tech out, their tech engineer out to complete this assessment. We're very pleased with it. The only infrastructure, added infrastructure that we'll need to address would be out at the playgrounds for the CRE and River Mill Elementary, because Wi-Fi doesn't stretch that far. So we will need to start looking at implementing or installing outdoor APs for Wi-Fi access. And then finally, just to review some grant opportunities the district is embarking on here. The Clean Air Cooling Air grant was awarded to the district. Last month, I presented that to the board. You have an action item this evening regarding that grant of $233,000. A seismic, we applied for a seismic rehabilitation grant for the Estacada High School gym. We found out this week or late last week that we were awarded $2.48 million to address the seismic needs at the gyms, the main gym at the high school. So very excited about that opportunity. It's very similar to what we're doing at River Mill, a lot more money, so we have more opportunities to fix some things while we're addressing the seismic areas as well. As soon as we get the award information and all the paperwork, we'll be working on the procurement for an RFP for an engineering group, similar process that we did with the River Mill seismic project. Very excited for that. And finally, we're in a process of applying for a wildfire smoke preparedness grant through EPA. This is a very highly competitive grant. Anything from $100,000 to $2 million can be provided for multiple things under the grant requirements. It could be training, it could be preventative maintenance, and it can be HVAC upgrades in your system and at your schools. I am electing to apply for $2 million to try to improve our HVAC systems from air filtration to HVAC to AC at all 4 buildings. Knowing that the Estacada School District is the main focal of this community, is a reunification shelter. We have a higher frequency of wildfires lately in the past few years, as well as high heat events. And we can act as a community resource as well as support teaching and learning by having improved systems. So we're going through that process. It's due the end of May, and we would be notified in September if we were awarded. Any questions?
Questions for Mike?
Yeah, one of the first slides you had there, Mike, regarding the spring break work. Keep going back. I think shows the classroom. It looks like elementary classroom.
That one.
And I just wondering, the floor is the floor been stripped? Is that part of the assessment?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, floor been stripped. It's right now, it's just unpolished concrete. And we are working with the vendors as well as the schools to determine if we're going to replace it with tile to match it almost like for like, or go call it polished concrete. Polished concrete has some benefits in long-term care And it is the direction we've done at CRE.
Thank you.
Not a question, but a thank you. When we look at grants that you're going after, so when we look at the grants for Rivermill, the $2.5 million grant at the high school for the gym, that's money that we don't have to pull out of somewhere else. So so thank you for that and your continued efforts in finding money out there to save locals some of that money. So much appreciated.
You're welcome.
Okay, anything else for Mike? All right, thanks, sir. Up next, Finance and Accountability Report, Christina Irish. You're up.
Thank you. Good evening, Board. Going to give you a financial update for the month end of March 31st. First look is our general fund. We're projecting the fiscal year revenue of $43.1 million, expenditures of $38.3 million, and that'll leave us with the ending fund balance of just about $4.8 million, which is 13%. You'll see here our budget to actuals. We are year to date in our encumbrance, we're at 93.2% for instructional services. We're at 96.4% for support services, and then 18.3% for community services, and we are projecting to use our full transfers. And just a side note, we are going to be closing the POs for May, so that is coming. Our capital projects, we have resources of about $2.6 million, expenditures of $2 million, and we're projecting an ending fund balance of about $6 million. 600,000, yes. Long day.
I'll take
Sorry.
6 million.
Yeah, I would too. I fortunately get 600,000. For our enrollment for March 31st, CRE, for the district, we're at 1,889, which is 11 more than last month and 132 more than last year at this time. I did not get updated numbers for Summit. So as a district, we're at 3,148, which is up 67. There is our fund chart, still climbing. And the final note, you in your board packet have an updated Exhibit A from a contract that you approved last month. We were missing the Exhibit A, so I have attached it to the board packet. And just wanted to give a shout out to our community that we still do have one more vacancy on our budget committee. And that is all I have.
All right. Questions for Christina? And again, the ever-present question of the board, is there anything not discussed or shown on the financial report that we need to be aware of?
No, everything is.
Or any other questions that you guys have that wasn't covered in the financial report? Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next up is Superintendent's report. Superintendent Carpenter.
Sorry.
Good. Thank you, Board of Directors, and excited to have the opportunity to share some important updates tonight to not only the Board of Directors, but to the Estacada community at large. Over the course of the last 2 weeks, we have been surveying all employees, our students, our parents, and measuring our customer service excellence and how people are accessing that. So I'm excited to share today some of those early results to the public who are watching today, both in person and online. It's important to understand that the way that the school board, its superintendent, and our school district holds itself accountable to our community is through our strategic plan. And this is our promise to our community of doing what we said we would do when the community created that strategic plan with us as it reflected its values. So at the end of the day, when we think of our 5 pillars, specifically successful students, being up to date with buildings and facilities, our sustainable finances, a strong inclusive culture, as well as engaged families, I'm excited to share with you that the Estacada School District is really doing quite well. Our employee satisfaction survey closes this Friday. However, we have already collected all but 20 employees. We're at about 252 surveys taken, and we've got about 20 some odd still left to come in. But you can see there that we're coming in at a 4.19 out of 5. And remember, anything over 4 we deem as excellent. 4.4 is what we're striving for or better. And so I'm very pleased that 4.19 equals a 0.09 increase from the fall to where we're at today. And again, I thought this was a good graph where you can see our longitudinal data over time and how the Estacada School District has done with its employee engagement. Again, it's always important and fun to remember that we are now back to back recipients of the Oregonians' Top Places to Work Award. We're the only public school entity to win it twice in a row, and it's never been done 3 times in a row, and we've accomplished that, and we're very proud of that. That was employees who voted on that. We are seeing a little bit of dip in our student engagement or student satisfaction. We still have 400 students still to survey. Rivermill Elementary School has completed theirs. Estacada Middle School has completed theirs, and we need about 200 from the high school still and 200 from Clackamas River. So we do expect that to change before the week's over, but as of today, you can see that we're coming in at a 3.94. That's a 0.04 lower than we were in the fall time, and I'm excited to work with our team to build continuous improvement plans or short cycles of improvement in an effort to increase that. Our parent satisfaction has come in higher or highest than it's been in our history thus far. Maggie talked about only having 200 though, so we do need to increase that participation. But we are hovering at 4 points even, which is a 0.05 increase, and evidence that our parents are telling us that our intentional efforts to improve our services to our family are in fact making a positive difference. And then last but not least, our district services. This is what we measure from all of our district level leaders, our building principals, vice principals, and leadership folks. Anyone who accesses what the district offices services have, like human resources, transportation, nutrition services, technology, etc. This is something that we're extremely proud of. We've worked very hard over the last 5 years to flip our culture to one of that where the district office serves its people and serves its community. And you can see here as evidence that scoring a 4.67 out of 5 is phenomenal, and a 0.18 increase is an example that our district is really committed to best-in-class customer service to the people who are taking this most. So very pleased with that. So as we take a look at our scorecard, remember this is how we, the Estacada School District, hold ourselves accountable to doing what we said we would do with the Estacada community. So taking a look at our student success, our goal is to be at 85% of all students, kindergarten through 12th grade, will demonstrate proficiency in 80% of their essential learning standards or more. At the end of the semester, so this was January, we hit the 79% benchmark, so our goal is 85. So I marked it yellow because we are making improvement, but we're not quite there yet. I am, however, optimistic that by the end of semester 2, we're on track to be at 85%, and I'm happy with that. Also, you can see we ended last spring at 77%. So even today at the end of semester 1, our students are performing better than we were last year at this time. We talked about employee satisfaction. Our goal was to score a 4.15 this year. paid lunch fees, they could pay for that at that time. Very excited about this. This is an opportunity our school district has never had. I think the other thing is when it comes to all in or all out, the students do get to make a choice. They could either take 12 credits, fall, winter, and spring trimesters, and then they'd have to take 9 credits in the summer. Or they could take 15 credits, fall, winter, and spring, and they could have their summers off. And that's the choice between the kid and the family as to how they participate in that program. I'll pause for questions.
If,
Go ahead.
if they lack the 90 credits required to get the associates, how does that look for graduation?
It looks fine for a couple of reasons. They would need to still pass their core classes ultimately, which is the high school graduation as well. And so there is no doubt, because they're not taking English 11 as an 11th grader, instead they're taking Writing 121, it is paramount that that kid is successful in that class, because if not, they could potentially fall short with their on track to graduate. Now, that being said, there are lots of safety nets for kids in that process. We offer our own summer school, and at some point, it's also why we need to make sure that we have a good, robust screening process to make sure that a student who has the ability to be successful in this program is indeed selected. We never want a kid to go in there and just drown immediately. And so our selection process, our mentoring process, the support process through all the way throughout needs to continue to work with that child and family for sure. Because we want to push kids into this also who maybe don't believe in themselves, but are certainly capable of doing this.
Thank you.
So really cool, first off. So excited about a lot of questions rattling around that'll come later. But the one about extracurricular activities makes total sense. I'm assuming as far as timing of classes, because not all college courses are between 8 a.m. and 4 p.m.
Right.
And so just making sure that that's available. The other question I would have is other courses that are offered here, say a music or a band,
Sure.
If those, depending on timing and time of the day, has that been thought through yet?
Oh
Is
yeah,
that something-
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, and the answer is yes, absolutely. The same goes for kids who want to participate in a weightlifting class with their team and or sports are other examples of that. And the answer is, of course, these kids get the opportunity to be in that, but that can't be in lieu of something else. So that kid, whoever that kid is, would still need to take 15 credits and go to that class. It's
Right.
not in place of anything else,
Yep.
because that class is not a dual college credit class.
Correct. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes.
It's quite an incentive to get that bill paid. And I'm wondering why we would let them not. In other words, when I went to college, the company paid for 100% if I got an A, 80% if I got a B.
Yeah.
Down to a C, and then anything else, I had to reimburse them,
Yeah.
which was a big incentive for me when I graduated Pepperdine.
Sure.
And I got a lot of money back.
Yeah.
And I think it doesn't look to me like we looked at something like that, because there's really not an incentive if they fail that, we're still going to pay it.
Right. Yeah, that's correct. And so the rationale for the creation of this program is there is a high demand from people who live inside our community who want the same and or similar access resources that a Canby, Oregon City, Molalla, Westland, Wilsonville, who are in closer proximity to Oregon, to the campus, who offer similar, not the same, but similar programs to this. And so as we think about how we can fiscally support the families who are urging the Estacada School District to have more advanced classes, more dual credit opportunities. This is how we can support that process. Now, I don't think that we'll be able to tier rewards and experiences today based on grades and achievement, but it really is an advantage for the child who exits. And again, my number one goal is for every kid who graduates from Estacada has the same competitive opportunity post this school. And in today's world, the competitive child is coming into the workforce, into the apprenticeship, or into colleges already with college credit established. And we don't offer that currently. And so I would say we're probably a decade behind everybody else in trying to play that college credit game. And so put yourself in Estacada's shoes. If you had the opportunity your junior and senior year to fulfill some of the prerequisite courses as a high schooler, then you could get into Pepperdine, which I'm sure is probably $100,000 a year to go into these days. And so you're already at an advantage to access some of the higher level and elite courses and programs because of what you've done. And this is a service I feel is necessary for us to provide to our kids if they so choose to be a part of it.
Still look at it as an incentive.
Sure. Yeah, and we can have more conversations about that for
We
sure.
can agree to disagree.
Yeah, that's okay too. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Thanks for putting this together. I know you put a lot of work into it, you and your team, and thanks Clackamas community for collaborating with us on this. Just educational piece, is there a difference in a transfer degree than an Associate of Arts degree?
I'm sure the answer to that is yes. I probably couldn't answer that question.
So in like these counseling sessions that will happen, do they get geared toward where that student wants to go with that associate's degree to see what will transfer into like an Oregon State, for instance? Is
Sure.
that part of the meeting?
Yeah, I do believe that. And really our partnership, Clackamas Community College has their own advisors that are already coming out to Estacada in preparation for this. And so I imagine between the interview, either with our own academic counselors or the advisors of Clackamas Community College, kids will be guided towards a pathway that is more to their engagement with.
I know sometimes you can do community college work and it doesn't necessarily go with you.
Sure. And there's some real truth to that.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, the core prerequisites do, and that's the minimum that we want to make sure we're allowing our kids to take, because then they can choose their pathway and already have a jump start and what they need to do to get there.
This is great work. I also noticed in here you mentioned that there will be a place for a student to do this here quietly as well if they need it on campus, that
That's correct.
maybe it keeps that social piece of high school connection.
Yeah, that's correct. Although that's with a big asterisk, right? Because we do perceive a kid coming down to just hang out for the day in the commons and do cartwheels and other things that disrupt the educational process. And so I will disclose that we'll be pretty strict about where that location is, where an online class can be taken, and what the parameters are when it comes to that quote socialization, unquote.
Right. We're not banishing them from our campus per se.
Correct.
And if they need a quiet place to work.
For sure. Which is also important that we model what college level behavior and studying looks like. Different than that.
Great work. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, Director Johnson.
Oh, sorry.
Oh.
Yeah, my questions are kind of around, I think this is great, super excited. I'm in my head, of course, trying to see how my kids fit into this
Of course.
mold because I have seniors coming up. And it's neat, and I want them to have this opportunity, but I really have a hard time seeing a student like mine being able to do an all or nothing.
Sure.
Because they do so much extracurricular in the
Right.
sports and all these other programs that are super important to them in their
Yep.
high school
Right.
opportunity. But yet, to get some of these core classes
Yeah.
and credits under their belt is like amazing because they've already got basically enough credits to graduate
Right.
at this point in
They're
their
done.
career.
Yep.
So it's just, I'm just trying to imagine, this alternative student that's,
Sure.
can academically succeed in this, but yet socially and
Yeah.
others, I don't know. It
So
feels like this program.
I think I've got a decent answer for you though
Okay.
on that. So really the Estacada High School will be offering kind of a 3-tiered program next year. This one is the most advanced, where it truly is all or nothing, and these people are gunning for an associate's degree at high school diploma. There's a middle tier where through our ballot measure 98 funds, we say, and we have $20,000 to $30,000 set aside, where if the kid you're describing wants to take some serious college courses, but also wants to be a part of the student body and take Estacada high school classes, they can do both and they can chip away, but not on this same routine. And I think that's a better match for the demographic that you're, and then there's then there's the lowest tier, which is just, I want to take our automotive classes or our welding classes that are dual credited, and they go into this special world of dual credits, but those are more likely the ones that don't typically follow, if that makes sense. So
That's
there's
helpful, thank you.
three,
So there
three
is
ways.
there's still that middle tier of
Yep.
where, okay, perfect. That was my question. Bill, your turn.
I was gonna say, I appreciate the rigor, from the time I've spent in education. The one-off, two-off don't go very far, but a full program like this actually
Yes.
gets them through to the end with an associate's degree by the time they have their diploma. I think my question was, do we have an idea? Are we already estimating the number of kiddos that are in here? So there's a budget line item for paying for that.
In our proposed budget, I think we have set aside $90,000, which we believe will pay for 15 students in this first year. So if one student takes us up on this opportunity, that's one better than we were before. And there's surplus money there. But we will cap it at 15 this year, which is why we believe it could potentially be competitive. Okay.
Thank you.
In conclusion, on this piece of it, I do want to say that this is actually relatively innovative in its approach. We used the ideology of charter schools to help us build this program. This is not a traditional public K-12 route to get there. The reason why I think this is special and innovative from our approach is because we know students and families from all over the country, including Oregon, are ditching public K-12 high schools to join charters to have middle college, early college opportunities. And so we think we're ahead of, well, like I told you, I think we're 10 years behind in terms of what we offer for colleges. I actually think this move is going to speed us up and compete with charters and should allow us to be a marketable high school because of this offer. And I also believe it will retain families who are already looking because we don't offer something like this. Okay, next.
You're not done yet, I know.
Just getting warmed up.
Sorry for all the questions.
You're good.
Chair Idell talked about Destination High Performance Estacada. That stands DHP Estacada. And I do want to thank the Executive Board of Directors who did show up to not only support the Estacada School District, but collaborate and engage with, this is what's cool, 250 people from around 13 states all over the country, representing 41 school districts. And these 41 school districts have the opportunity to make an impact in 1.5 million students across the United States. Came out to little old Estacada to understand the work that we're doing in the classroom when it comes to short cycles of continuous improvement. It was a true honor to share some of the secret sauce that we're doing to show how we're making improvements from a 50% graduation rate in 2014 to a 92% graduation rate in the year 2022 is really quite impressive. And the work that we're doing is starting to gather people's attention from across the United States who came to this event. And I'm just so proud of our employees. I'm proud of the people who organized the event, ultimately leading to a really robust learning experience for all, including us. We got the opportunity to tell our story, but we also got tremendous feedback in terms of the impact that we're making in our classrooms. And I'm just so proud of our school district, and I'm so proud of our community for supporting us in this endeavor. And an effort to do something different. We are now the 4th highest graduation rate in Clackamas County. The 3 school districts above us are Lake Oswego, Westland Wilsonville, and North Clackamas. The Estacada School District identifies as 66% of students in poverty. Lake Oswego identifies as 2% of students in poverty. So to think that our demographic of child is competing with the Lake Oswego, the Westlands, and the Happy Valley should really tell you and this community that what we're doing is in fact game changing. And I'm excited to continue that course. And I was extremely excited to share our story at Destination High Performance Estacada. Lastly, this is last, Chair Rydell and I had the privilege to attend the Colton School Board meeting on Monday. We've been continuing to deepen our partnerships with the Colton School District. They've been a great partner and a great friend. Obviously, they are a smaller and more rural school district with high impact, high special education needs, and we've been continuing to work in a partnership to support some of their special education needs through our school district. It was a privilege to be able to speak at their board meeting, meet with their board members, and further future partnerships. So thank you for spending that evening with me, and I thought it was a great relationship builder for us.
Yep.
That's your superintendent's report.
All right. Questions? Yeah.
We expect a DHP repeat.
We do, yeah. All those details are still in the talks in terms of who's responsible for leading it, et cetera. We actually have a bigger problem in our horizon, and that is the 250 people who came to Estacada. Once they went home, they communicate with us that they want to send all of their team out here. And so creating micro visits and secondary opportunities for leadership teams, teacher teams to come out and see the work that everyone came back to talk about is a new lucrative opportunity for our school district, while we also share our story and make a difference across the country and how we're doing things differently to make an impact in student learning.
One thing I like about that map, if you go back to the Oregon schools, there's a lot of schools that we share a lot of similarities with. Obviously, you said Colton, but you got LeGrand on there, Mount Angel, Redmond to a certain extent, Staten, Scappoose, Sheridan, Liam Carlton, all of these kind of rural areas
Yes.
that are hopefully going to get the secret sauce and figure it out. And they have the same demographic or similar demographics, I would assume, similar size schools, similar geographic issues.
Yes.
And so it's kind of neat to see that they are looking to us as a lead
Yes.
in this and among other things.
Agreed.
So.
And on the complete other spectrum, Vermont and New Jersey, that was like the state school superintendent. So our version of Colt Gill and his team came out to Estacada to look at what we're doing with the evidence-based leadership framework that we work in partnership with Studer on, because they're talking about more policy-driven things and how they can incorporate into the entire school districts of New Jersey and Vermont. So very cool.
Any other questions, comments for Ryan? All right. Thank you very much. Next up is reports and presentations. And first up, I don't have any names. I just have Clackamas Community College. That's it. I know Jane Reed. I can call that one out on my own.
I'm Tim Cook. I'm the president of Clackamas Community College.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah, it's been a
I
I think so, if we can get it loaded. Is it loaded? Is it? Just have to.
Oh,
it is loaded. Look at that. Okay.
Yay. Well, good evening and thank you for having us. I'm Jane Reed. I know many of you. Actually, John, I know you from way back.
Way back. We'll keep that between the two of us.
Yes, we will. Let's do that. So I have been representing Estacada and Colton, and most recently, because we have redrawn our districts, Malala, as in our zone 6 of the college districts, college zones. And I've been doing this for about 15 years now. I also have children who went to school all the way through here who have flown away, but I've been involved in this district since the first year they offered kindergarten here, and Red Barn all the way through. And so I love this district, and I love the direction that it is going now too. So So, and next to me here is Dr. Tim Cook, who has been CCC's wonderful president for the last 5 years. And he came to us from Clark College in Vancouver, outside of Vancouver, but he grew up in Oregon City, went to Oregon City High School, and has returned to there. So he has a great perspective on our county and on our needs, which are very unique, So the reason we're here tonight is to talk about our bond projects, which we get a report every month, and it's like almost done, all the way through. And so we're wrapping up all of our projects. We passed this bond in 2014, and we wanted to kind of share with you highlights of what we've accomplished for our students, for our community, for our workforce, and it's so that is what we're on, kind of a presentation tour of this. So, Dr. Cook,
Yeah,
would you
I
like
do
to?
mind.
And
You know, yes, thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight. Really appreciate it. I grew up in Oregon City, did all of my education there, and then actually did all of my higher education in Oregon. So I graduated of Western Oregon, did a master's degree at Lewis and Clark, and then my doctoral work at Oregon State. So I'm a homegrown boy, and it's nice to be here in the community. And I can't help myself listening to the program that you've set up. I have to make a couple comments. I know we're talking about bonds, but it is pretty impressive. The work that your district does is really impressive. And Ryan, as a thought partner, Superintendent Carpenter, as a thought partner, has been fantastic to really think about how we can improve education for everyone in Estacada and have those opportunities. So I did want to address a couple of the questions you had, Director Berman, that we, regarding whether students can get the credits that they need to transfer, all of our students, we put through programs called Guided Pathways now. Many of you, if you went to school when I did, it was sort of like they kind of give you a book and say good luck, and help you figure it all out. We don't do that anymore. We want to make sure everybody, graduates and everybody gets the program that we want. So from the very beginning, when someone starts, even if they don't know exactly what they want to do, they're kind of exploring some areas or something like that. Our advisors, we call them navigators, sit down with them and map out those classes so that if they go on in state to, U of O, Oregon State or somewhere, Portland State, or if they leave the state, that those classes are gonna count. So I did want to make sure that's not a concern that we have. It's something we believe really strongly about. And then is it Shibahara?
Shibahara.
Thank you, Director Shibahara. Your point is well taken about, is this program right for all students? I have 3 kids that are all in their 20s now, and in another district, my 2 older kids were able to get their associate degrees while they got their high school degrees. Worked out really well for them. My youngest son was really into theater and band and everything, and got some classes, but didn't want to do that, and had that opportunity too. So the way that was described in tiers like that, I think, is a really good way to do it for those students that really just want to get done. My daughter was done with high school and said, I don't ever want to step foot in there again, and didn't have to, was able to do all those classes. And so, but then the other ones that really want to have that mix and want to be involved there too, I think that's really involved. It's very innovative, and I applaud, Superintendent, I applaud all of you for really working on that. And then the last thing I'll say on that, we'll get into the reason why we're here. Excuse me, thank you for that. I just was like sitting there going, oh my gosh, I have so many things I want to say when you're going on. But there are opportunities, and I know Superintendent and I talk about this all the time, to bring additional programs and classes to here. I mean, that's part of what we want to do too. It's great that we're providing opportunities for students to get to the campus and do things that aren't really mobile and do that. But we continue to look to expand opportunities to here on site and work through that. So I just want to make sure it's clear that we have that commitment.
Thanks for following up. I was going to catch you at the end,
Yeah.
but I'll just finish then. So you guys already do this with other schools, I assume. So it's pretty normal to have, say, a 16-year-old showing up to a college class.
I'll give you a heads up. We've had, gosh, I think 11's the youngest that we've had taking classes. We don't ask how old our students are, and so when this is the heads up, I guess that probably the staff will hear more often than not. When they're on our campus, they're a college student, and we treat them as such. So occasionally we'll get calls from parents who are used to, working with the school districts and saying, how's my kid doing? I'm like, sorry, we can't tell you. We can't even talk to you about this. There's federal rules about that. And they'll be like, well, they're 15 years old. I'm like, yeah, we know, but you'll have to ask them. And so, yeah, so we're used to that. Our faculty staff are all mandatory reporters. They all have the training there and the rest of that. But yeah, we're used to having some pretty young, bright students on campus.
As a matter of
Thanks.
fact, our
Oh, yeah.
our president of our student government she will be receiving her high school degree after she gets her associate's degree.
Wow.
She did this very similar thing through a charter school, it's really, I mean, just to think of how young she is and how much she has done and what she has contributed. So I think a lot of young people are just ready
Yes.
to do things like that. And the opportunities at the college are pretty big.
Yeah, she was student body president when she was 15.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, of that. And yeah, we'll graduate at 16 with a couple degrees, actually. Yeah,
Wow.
it's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So watch out.
And we'd love to have a student body president from Estacada.
Yes.
So I'll just start here, and Director Reed had mentioned, in 2014, the district approved a $90 million bond for us to expand and update our buildings, facilities, and grounds. The college has been around since '66, and so this provided a number of opportunities for us to either build some new buildings or to update a number of our buildings. So we constructed 4 new buildings, which we'll show you. We expanded, remodeled others. We improved our transportation to and from around the college, and a whole lot of other things. We were able to leverage that $90 million by getting some state matches for 4 of the projects, $8 million per project from the state. And then we got grants for seismic work, to redo our transit center, and even to pay for furniture in some of our buildings. So we were able to leverage those bond dollars to more than $136 million at the end of the day. So I think Director Reed's going to take us through some of the bigger projects. Start us off there.
Yeah, we'll start with Harmony West. It complements our Harmony East building, which had been there for a number of years, and completes the Allied Health campus. And this is replaced the building, the new building that you see there, replaced the former Dales Ickes Junior High School, which was in later used by OIT, Oregon Institute of Technology, and then we had some classes there, but that was torn down and this new one was built. So it's allowed us to grow health sciences, workforce development, general education offerings that we have in Milwaukee. And students can now start and complete a number of programs there and not have to leave that campus. They can do the whole thing on that campus. And it has the 3-story building that you see, which is really quite beautiful, has classrooms, labs, and a very large community event space, which has been able to be used by a lot of folks. It was completed in 2017, and we received an $8 million match from the state to fund this project. And so the next one, and there's some pictures of it in there, and this is the lobby area. And one of the things I really liked about the design of this, when the architects were thinking about it, the importance of all these different kinds of spaces for students to gather, either like one-on-one or being able to study together in special rooms. And it's a very welcoming spot. And the labs, they are science labs that go with the nursing and other classes that are being given. So that is that. And Holden Industrial Technology Center is a big one, and it literally 44,000 square feet, and it was completed in 2018, and it also received an $8 million match from the state. And it increases teaching training and partner space, as well as creating flexibility for partnership programs with other corporations and industries in the area come in and use this space as well for training. There are large bays for machinery with classrooms and offices. There's an option to add another building if it's needed and as the college grows. And it houses our industrial technology programs like manufacturing, CNC machining, and renewable energy. And it included the redesign of a parking lot that's near it, and the entrance, a better entrance into the campus, and a better connection to a walking path and to Oregon City High School. So it's really opened up a lot of spaces there. And it's named after a longtime college and career tech ed supporters Terry and Cheryl Holden. And I guess Cheryl grew up in Estacada, and I don't know her maiden name, but Terry grew up in Malala. So they have a real focus on Clackamas County, and I believe that they have helped support the automotive program here, maybe? I'm not sure.
Given
But
some of that funds.
yeah, but it's been wonderful for what they've done there. They have also, this is pretty cool too, we have a makerspace, and it is the Les Diasis. And what was he doing?
Benchmade knives.
Benchmade knives. Okay, he donated the space for this, or the money for this, and it is a workshop where community members can come and have access to tools they need to create prototypes and models and masterpieces. They get proper training. After proper training, they're allowed to use the equipment, and it ranges from basic woodworking, machinery, and 3D printing to CNC milling and laser cutters. It includes woodworking and construction, traditional metalworking and sheet metal, a welding and cutting station, digital manufacturing, and electronics and sewing. And it is the first of its kind in Clackamas County, and it's open to the public on Fridays, so anybody can come and check it out between 5 and 9. And come on down if you want to.
Come and make
It's
things.
pretty cool. Come make things. Make a face. In Desjardins Hall, it is an addition to, it was added on to an existing science complex or science facility, which was been there for 35 years. It is outdated, and it actually, one of the problems there is it contributed, the size led to class overcrowding and long wait lists, which really affected students' abilities to finish their degrees on time or to do what they had to do. So we doubled our chemistry lab capacity, accommodating an additional 250 students a year in chemistry. So it reduced class sizes and also waiting lists. And the new labs expose students to modern scientific work environments that are similar to what they will find when they transfer to a university. The building serves students in physics, chemistry, biology, environmental sciences. Part of that is the water environmental technology and more. And it uses funds from Connect Oregon and ODOT grants to build that. We also, part of it used those funds to build a transit center there. It used to be a very confusing way that buses would come and drop people off, and it got very clogged up. This is a really new, cool transit center that's at the college there, and connects to Oregon City High School as well. And couple of cool pictures here. Let me see, that's a lab prep room on the left, and the right one is one of the labs, one of the students' lab where they're working. And one of the cool things that it has too, it has passive learning opportunities, which means, but I guess that what that means is just you can't help but learn something when you're there.
I call it sneaky learning. They put in all sorts of different science and STEM activities kind of throughout, built into the building, and you're seeing part of that there too, where you learn without even really realizing it.
And right now, if you look at on the right, you will learn the DNA sequence of a cougar. That is how it was all put in. They were really careful about that's exactly what that looks like. So that is there, and they also in the lobby they have a beautiful bird and duck display there, and a beluga whale hanging down, and just a lot of displays like that. So that's the new Desjardins Hall. And Tim, you want to take over from there?
Sure.
Yep.
And so because of the Holden Industrial Technology Center, we're able to move out all of the machining, the CNC machines, and that into that building, and it freed up space to double the size of our automotive program. And we do two different types of automotive program. We do collision and then we do the technician program, and they were all crammed into one space, and it got so bad they had paint booths outside, and so they'd hammer out dents, and they'd have to drive cars out in the rain to go, try to drive them off to get paint. Now they've got, everything on the one side of collision where they can do it all inside and go right into the paint booths there. And then what you're seeing here in the picture actually is the technician side, and you see each of the bays along each side that now we've partnered with a number of local car dealers and name those and have partnerships. So the students from the very beginning that are in those programs have internships on site with those, and they get the uniform, they get everything, so they feel like they're part of that site right off the bat. So it's very much a hands-on space, mimicking real shop work as much as we can. As I said, these used to be too, we still do to some extent, people can drop off their cars and get them worked on that piece, but we're shifting to electric cars now, electric vehicles, and it's a very, very high-tech program, and people are always surprised when they come in how clean it is in there as well, which also mimics a lot of these shops too. Our most recent and our last big project for the bond is our Wachino Welcome Center, which really changed the way we serve students and greet people coming to the college. Used to be, before we had this building, that we did a survey and we did a test one time. People got pinged around about 5 different buildings trying to navigate and trying to figure out where they were going. And so this building was really designed to pull people in and be the front door of the college. It's a traditional student center in that way, but we called it a welcome center. So it houses student services, it has our advising and our counseling, financial aid. The whole secret sauce, though, of it is, as you come in, there's a really large welcome desk that everyone starts at, and regardless of what question, you stay there and somebody comes to you and makes sure that you're getting the questions you need in the process. So whether you call in, whether you come in and stop, it's really a one-stop center, one-stop shopping in how we do that. It connects to our existing community center that's been around since the 80s, but we also got a facelift for that, so it looks entirely different, where we've got student government, we've got our disability resource center, multicultural center, and our vet center. Space now has better study spots and easy access to our Cougar Cafe. And I see people coming in all the time that were there in the past and can't even recognize it. They did such a nice job. And regarding the name, Wachino is named after Chief Wachino of the Clackamas tribe. He was the last chief that signed the treaty that sent them to Grand Ronde. When we were building this building, we knew we wanted to recognize somehow the Clackamas people. That campus in Oregon City is literally on the site where the Clackamas people, the indigenous people, were. So we went down and met with the tribal council, the Grand Ronde, and said, how best can we respectfully name this building? We thought they'd give us some name for like welcome or something else like that. And they said, the best thing that you could do is name it after our chief, Chief Wachino, who was apparently a very welcoming person, and the whole rest of this. It was really interesting, because some people looked at that and said, boy, he's also the person that signed away, their rights, their property rights. But they said, he's beloved. Beloved to them. And so they came and blessed it when we opened it. Cheryl Kennedy, who's head of the Grand Ronde tribe, and several members came and did a whole ceremony and blessed the space. So we're pretty proud of how all that came about. This is an inside, and actually you can see in this larger picture here, that welcome desk. That's when you first walk in the doors, it pulls you right into there and see that. And there's a lot of really nice light in that. In fact, upstairs, that smaller picture, if you look out through that window, you can't see it because it's small, but there's a nice view of Mount Hood. That was a pleasant surprise that we found when we were building it. Some more look at the comfort of that. It's from the very beginning, and it opened up in the middle of the pandemic, which was strange to have this brand new building. But as soon as we were able to allow people in there, they just flocked to it. It's busy. It's constantly full of students and staff. It's just a really nice, light, bright, welcoming space. And then really about the last bit of I call it the fumes of the bond money, we were able to do a final remodel of what we call our Rook Hall. This had been where we had many of the registration and financial aid and activities there. And so we once they vacated that, we were able to take that first floor and make it more of a community space. So now we have a really large community room that can be used. It can be divided up into different spaces. So for people having conferences or meetings that way, we also moved our executive offices, our foundation, and we created a diversity and equity office in that space too. It's got a number of conference rooms, and it's the other part about it, you can't tell because you can't see the larger picture, but it's right next to the Wachino Center. So it just helps create that welcoming space into the campus. Beyond the buildings, we were able to do a lot of things that weren't so exciting, but were really important. And upgrading our elevators, upgrading our locker rooms to be Title IX compliant. Myers Road got extended, and we ended up, I don't think we really wanted to, but we ended up paying for a big chunk of that out of those funds. But we did add a third entrance to the college as a result. Some stormwater improvements, a lot of roof replacement, repair, new entrance signage across the campus. You can find things, IT upgrades, and campus safety and security upgrades as well. Part of our bond projects, we established workforce goals to involve students and use local businesses. So what you're seeing here, SAIL actually stands for Student Applied Integrated Learning. And we asked the architects and contractors to involve our students in their work as much as possible. So that we had internships, they had mentorships, they had job shadowing, they had site visits, field trips, anything that could get students out there and involved and really see what was happening with construction and the contract work and hands-on experience. So that SAIL goal was to get 1,000 hours or more of student participation. We ended up with nearly double that, close to 2,000 hours. And actually, we had 2 student interns who ended up getting hired on with a couple of the construction firms, and still work for them today as a part of that result. So it was really nice learning opportunities. And BOAT stands for Business Opportunities Achievement Target, and we are encouraging employment opportunities to residents of minority, women, and veteran-owned businesses, as well as emerging small businesses. So we'd ask contractors to really do what they could to hire those smaller businesses and women and veteran-owned. Purpose of this program, so we could prioritize that. And our BOAT goal is 10% of all construction costs would go to those smaller businesses, and we achieved almost 30% of that. And we're going to throw a party. We're pretty proud of that work. It's really fundamentally changed how we can offer education, and I'm pretty proud of it. And I'd be happy to show any of you around if you ever want to come by and see it. I give tours of the campus all the time, and I hear every single time, "Wow, I had no idea. I had no idea all this was here and that you're doing this." And people even who've gone to the school and haven't been there in the last 3 years are just amazed. So we're hosting a party on the 5th. For the community, really to show people and to have some fun and celebrate. And so, there's going to be a lot of food and music and just activities and games and big trucks for kids to play on and all that type of thing. So if you're able to join us, we'd sure love to have you. And I think that's it. So, as I said, you're welcome to come anytime. We're very proud of that. The community really loves our campus, loves it so much that they're on it all the time. During the pandemic, it was a place for people to picnic, to walk their dogs, to play Frisbee, to get out and about, and it still happens. So, and, we've got lots of art, plays, concerts, athletic facilities as well. So, I'll just close and answer any questions, but we value very much the partnership with Estacada School Districts. I tell Director Reed this all the time. I really enjoy talking with Superintendent Carpenter. He's a really good thought partner when we're like, how do we make this work, or how can we improve this? You're a pretty fantastic district, and so I just want to be clear that we appreciate the partnership and continued partnership working with all of you.
Awesome. Thank you. Any questions for Dr. Cook and Director Reed?
I've got a question. Well, first of all, it looks like you got a lot of square footage for your bond amount. Nice work on your spending. I also noticed you used several I'll say prime contractors to accomplish the work over time. Was that by design, or is that just what happened over time, and was it tough to coordinate all that?
So we actually contract with an overall project management company. Opsis helped us then manage those larger pieces, and they help us go out and manage those bids. And so, yeah, it was by design that we, when we go out and manage that we'd have the larger ones, and then managing that piece. I would say it was challenging. I'd say if my facilities person here who's fantastic would tell you there was quite a lot to watch and balance, but
Looks really nice.
Yep.
thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, and take him up on the tour.
I was gonna say, I'm gonna
Really
take you up on that.
Yeah,
do.
yeah,
It is,
I'm happy to
he's
show.
good at it too.
Oh, he's awesome. Yeah.
Any other questions? All right, thank you.
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you
Thanks
for
for
being
coming
here.
out.
We appreciate
Thanks
it
for
very
having
much.
Awesome.
I would like to say before we transition to it, as they transition out, I can't tell you a time when the president of Clackamas Community College has ever come out to Estacada or an Estacada board meeting. And I mean this with true sincerity, and I know Jane knows this as well. Tim Cook has been an exceptional leader at Clackamas Community College, and his willingness to partner with anybody has really opened the doors for us to play catch up when it comes to that. So Tim, I really genuinely want to thank you for your partnership.
I wouldn't be here if not for people looking out for me growing up in Clackamas County, so I really feel it's my obligation to make sure every kid in Clackamas County has an opportunity.
That's very good.
That's why I do it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, thank you both. All right. On to item G, discussion, which we have none. On to item H, hearing of citizens for action items only.
Have none.
We have none for action items. All right. Item I, the consent agenda includes a package of one or more items to be voted on as a unit. However, if any board member is not in favor of one or more agenda items and prefers to take separate action, a request to the chair anytime prior to the vote will remove that item for a separate vote. So first up is the consent agenda.
Chair Idell, I move to accept the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Any discussion? The one thing I would add is this is first readings for the policies. So again, you've got another month to read back through those. I would ask if you do have questions. Director Berman is still kind of leading the charge, I think, from a policy standpoint.
Yeah, we'll have a policy meeting before the next board meeting, I'm sure.
Okay.
I can give updates.
So yeah, if you have questions on any of those, that'd be a great place to start with Director Berman, and we appreciate you leading the charge on that. Any other discussion? It's been moved, seconded, and discussed. All in favor, raise your right hand.
Motion carries.
Item J, to appoint budget committee members.
Chair Idell, I move to appoint Helena Snyder to position 1 and Lindsay Park to position 5.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
I'm excited that we have a lot of returning
Yes.
people that, want to continue to be a part of the budget committee. I mean, I think there's been years when it's been pretty hard to
Yes.
recruit. So I think says a lot, that I think we've been doing a better job over the years of making it understandable, and I think also helping make them feel a part of the process. So I think today's workshop was a good precursor to that. Thank you.
Awesome. I would also add again that we do have one more position open. So anybody out there who wants to be on the budget committee, I'm looking up into the internet world or whoever you are, wherever you are. But it is an important part of what we do, and especially as a board, fiduciary responsibility is a primary function that we play. So the more of the community that we can have involved, the better, as long as it fits within the numbers that we can have. So I would also just shout out to the community as well. Anybody out there listening, stay tuned for future budget committee meetings. The first one will be May 10th. And so if you are interested, maybe you're not ready to jump in with both feet to get on the committee, but you want to be more involved in the budget process, please come down, listen, learn, ask questions, all of that good stuff. Because again, we want people to see what we're doing and how we're doing it. So the more the merrier. All right. Any other discussion on that? It's been moved, seconded, and discussed. All in favor, raise your right hand.
Motion carries.
On to item K, the contract with Sunglow Heating and Cooling.
Question before the motion.
Yeah.
Can I do that?
About the next motion?
Yes.
Uh,
The amounts are the exact same.
I took the amount off of the board backup for the next motion.
That's-
Is that accurate?
yep, I think-
one I
Probably
did
the board
right.
backup is
Okay.
likely the accurate
I
one.
get you now.
Yeah, okay.
So let's make the motion so we can discuss it, and then if there's an adjustment that needs to be made, we can go from there.
All right, Chair Idell, I move to approve action item K, the Sunglow Heating and Cooling contract with the regards to the high school.
All right, it's been moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All right, so let's discuss, because I also noticed that those were the same, but in the board backup, Mike, can you come down pretty please? So it looks like what we have in the agenda is the Sunglow is the 247,776. Northwest Control is the same number, but I believe that's a different number in the backup.
That is correct. Northwest Control is 153,900.
Let me pull.
Says 400.
400,
Okay.
thank you. Yep.
What's that number again, just so we can write it down?
153, 400.
Yep, that was my typo. I
400.
apologize.
Perfect.
So item L is 153,400.
1534, yep. Thank you for that. Discussion on this. So I believe this is what we talked about as far as the grant.
Yes,
To,
through the Clean Air Cooling Center grant through DHS, State of Oregon. Yes.
Perfect.
So what do we get for 247? What are we doing to the building?
We are installing commercial air conditioning units in both gyms at the high school, including air scrubbers within the system so that we can act as a cooling center and a clean air center during wildfire events.
And there was
in extreme heat events, excuse me.
There was a slight difference in what we got awarded and the actual price of the project.
No, what we got awarded actually met the price of the project. The district is electing to put 15,000 in contingency.
Got it. Okay.
That's why we have, it's a little bit more than what we are awarded.
Help me out here, will you?
I can do that.
We had a meeting, about a month ago? I think it was. And we were talking about putting in air conditioning units.
Yes, sir.
In the school.
Yes, sir.
And it was about 250,000 we budgeted, but the quotes came in at close to $1 million.
That's correct.
What happened with that? I mean, is this part of that or?
This is not part of that, and I believe we're going to speak about that the next action item regarding NCC and what direction we're going.
Thank you.
Yes.
Good question.
And then just to confirm, the total cost of this, save the $15,000 in contingency that we're setting aside is all grant funded. So this is not coming.
Except for the 15,000.
Except for the
That is
15,000.
correct. Yep,
Okay.
100%
Which
of
we
it.
may or may not use.
Hopefully
Correct.
we don't,
Yeah.
but thank you for putting a little cash away too.
Yeah, just
please.
in case.
Appreciate that. Okay. Any other questions, comments?
One thing I didn't see on the board backup was timing of this. Is this a summertime project?
Yeah, once we are, if the board approves tonight, we would create contract, and then the anticipation timeline would be summer with substantial completion depending on how long it takes to get equipment, but by the return of school, 2023-24.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So, and just to be clear, the Sunglow estimate for the work is the 232.
That's correct.
776.
That's
That's
correct.
what you're going to award to someone.
That's the amount we're awarded, correct.
All right. Great discussion, clarification. Thank you. Any other comments, discussion? All right. Thanks, Mike. Do you want to just stay there?
Yeah.
We might need you on the next one. All right. Then moved, second, and discussed. All in favor of item K, raise your right hand.
Motion carries.
Okay, on to item L, the contract with Northwest Control and the new dollar amount of $153,400.
Chair Idell, I move to approve action item L at 153,400.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Mr. Ware.
Yes, to bring back Director Walper's question as well as just kind of give some context to where we're at currently. The district proposed set aside about 208,000 to be correct, ESSER 3 funds to address indoor air quality within 33 classrooms throughout the district. We were given the approval to move forward, went through our RFP process and learned that the quotes that came back were about 300% over budget. So Director Walper was correct, and one was near $1 million. I believe the lowest one was around 500,000 to 600,000 estimate approximately. After further evaluation, obviously we could not make up that difference. And as we continue through the winter season and the spring, as we've had colder weather and difficult weather, if you will, we have identified a major issue at Clackamas River Elementary. The HVAC system, mainly the controls, BLEMO valves, systems that help the equipment and devices that really make the system work, are not working or talking to each other properly. So on the east side of CRE, Clackamas River Elementary, it could be blowing to be 60 to 63 degrees cold. And on the west side of Clackamas River Elementary, it's 102 degrees. That's a hypothetical, but it's very warm. It's 72, 73 degrees. And with you have 35, 30 kids in there with you as an adult, it's very difficult and very hot. And both sides of the building do not promote a quality teaching and learning environment. We're at the point where we've done everything we can as a Band-Aid fix. We are spending 3.5 hours on average a day trying to adjust the heating and cooling so we can just regulate the temperature at that school. And what we're doing is our best efforts, but at the end of the day, this expense, these fixes would repair the system so that it does regulate temperature properly. I want to caution, I want to make sure it's clear, this is not air conditioning. This is just getting our system to work as it should be working and have a comfortable regulated temperature in each of our classrooms.
All right, I've got a dumb question.
No dumb question.
How in the world would we budget 200 to 250,000 and quotes come in at up to $1 million?
That's a great question. We started the process by, if you recall, when we did, I think, our fall tour around our facilities, we reviewed the air pumps or heat pumps that we did at Rivermill Elementary. Through further research, working with independent contractors, we attempted to get a ballpark, what would one classroom cost us? Unfortunately, the information wasn't as accurate as we had hoped it to be. And I take responsibility by not fully vetting the process and by giving guidance to Superintendent Carpenter that we should go out with this RFP and that we do have the budget for it. Come to find out, the tonnage of the units that we used in Rivermill Elementary would not have been the same tonnage we would use at middle school, Estacada Middle School, or the high school, or even CRE. There's bigger rooms or more space to fill, and then as well as the placement of heat pumps, electrical needs. We just did not vet the process properly, and that's where we made a mistake.
Thank you for taking a stand.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
And Mike, if I recall correctly, part of that was the physical size of the unit, right? It's just a different units that's required based on exposure to sun and size of classroom. And so it's
correct.
It was just, we couldn't use the equipment that we anticipated that we could use.
Rivermill Elementary classrooms used 2-ton units. At the middle school, they were proposing 4-ton units.
Okay.
Is that consistent across all the bids?
Yeah. And that a 2-ton unit, roughly $3 grand. 4-ton unit jumps up to $8 grand, $9 grand, just for the unit itself, not including electrical installation. We worked with, and we went back to the electricians that provided the bid for the project to see if we could find ways to cut costs, to be the GC, to separate this out, to hire just installation. It still ended up being a $300,000-$400,000 project that the district could not afford at the moment.
Is there a ability to get the low-hanging fruit of fixing some of the classrooms that are easier?
There's always those opportunities. What I would respond to that also is that is it the right fix to do? As we were looking at doing this at the Rivermill Elementary, it made the most sense. It was a quick and easy approach to make sure that temperature was controlled in one of the hottest rooms of our district. But if we start adding individual heat pumps, is that the direction that the board and the district wants to go? Having 90 units to maintain and repair as opposed to 1 commercial or 3 commercial units, 4 commercial units per the district might make more sense and be cost effective in the long run. Those are all decisions that we would need to make as a leadership and as well as with Superintendent Carpenter.
It's just further evidence that things are old and they're just, things are starting to fall
Yeah.
apart more and more. And it's hard to keep up with that just by nickel and diming things.
Yeah.
And there has to be a bigger solution.
And again, the community call and our employee call to regulate the temperatures in our classroom can only be truly created to fruition if the community itself is to support some type of bond levy to make that happen. It's a double-edged sword for us right now because the money we receive from the state is to educate our kids today. And I feel like our community wants us to educate our kids today and spend $8 million in air conditioning our classroom. And it just doesn't pencil the way that I think we need to. And so I really do expect this to be a hot topic in our community. And I hope that our employees' voice and their strong advocacy for air conditioning, just temperature regulation in these classrooms is a voice that's heard as our community weighs in on if it's the right call for them or not to invest into the education in their community and the future of this community as well.
Yep, well said. Okay, so just to clarify, this has nothing to do with air conditioning. This is just
Yes,
to
sir.
regulate the temperatures the way that we have previously been able to do within the building, as opposed to having our employees crawling through the ceilings half a day, every day to do that.
And turning nozzles.
And turning nozzles. Okay. Okay, any other questions, discussion?
I do think it's important to note that the board 2 years ago passed and we installed state-of-the-art technology to regulate all classrooms inside the district. And I just want to differentiate the two. The thing that we invested in, installed, is working excellently. And it's working so well, in fact, it's telling us that the 23-year-old machine that we hooked it up to is dead. And so now it's time for us to, because the machine is saying, the awesome machine is saying, turn on this lever. And it's the 23-year-old pieces between the machine and the lever that are broken.
Good call. Yeah, thank you for that clarification.
Yeah.
Okay, moved and seconded and discussed. All in favor, raise your right hand.
Motion carries.
Okay, on to item M, hearing of citizens for non-action items.
We have two.
Okay,
First up is Brandy Litke. She's with the Traffic and Public Safety Committee.
awesome. Brandy, welcome. So I have something to read here as you're getting situated. So as a board, we appreciate and encourage public input. However, Oregon public meeting law requires these sessions to be held in public. This is a meeting in public. It is not a public meeting. The primary difference being that public input may be requested or allowed, but is not required under the law. In other words, you have the right to view, but not necessarily to participate. Policy BDDH is the guide for public participation. In essence, it states that citizens must sign up in advance of the beginning of the regular meeting for an opportunity to speak. At all times, your comments are to be addressed directly to the board. Speaking time will be limited to 3 minutes or less. Those with common topic of interest are asked to combine comments where possible, designate topic at time of sign up, and stay on topic. Any items already directed to the office of the superintendent for review will not be heard in board session. Finally, neither the board nor district personnel are expected or required to respond to comments and or questions during board meetings. With that being said, I don't see our clock.
It's on the.
Oh, it's down there. Okay. So I'm going to give you a chance to introduce yourself before we start the clock. We do run it at 3. So I will apologize if I cut you off at 3 minutes, but
That's okay.
that will happen. So, but go ahead and introduce yourself. And then once you're done with that, we'll start the clock.
I am Brandy Litke. I am the vice chair of our Traffic and Public Safety Committee here in the city. That's one of our committee members, Casey Owens, there. And then you can, when you start, I'll get.
All right.
So I just wanted to come and introduce our committee to you guys and say hi. We had the opportunity of Superintendent Carpenter coming to one of our meetings, and that was awesome to kind of discuss between us some ways we can collaborate. We had set our goals this year, and our top #1 goal is helping with the safety of the school crossing zones and lighting. A lot of what we're doing could interact with a lot of what you guys are doing. So one of our main things was we wanted to introduce ourselves, work on collaborating in some ways, maybe coming and doing a full presentation if we could. Also, we had some concerns at our committee, but because we're in the city, we can't really do anything about it. So I wanted to bring those concerns to you guys and just lay it at your feet and see what you think. There's a lot of concern in the country right now about safety in our schools. We do have a school resource officer at the high school. I know that as far as we're trying to think of ways that we could improve, I guess, the visual of officers in the schools without costing anyone any more money. And one of our ideas was, well, actually it was Chief Mendoza's idea, was to maybe see if you guys were willing to open up some space where officers could come and just rest, where they have space at one of the churches in town, they have space at other places in town, but just maybe giving them the opportunity to come in and make their presence known in the other schools as well. And we thought maybe that would just create a visual of more safety in the schools. Anything further, I don't think is an option right now, but just thought we'd give you guys that recommendation and say hi and hope to see you more. That's it.
Awesome. All right. Thank you, Brandy. Appreciate it very much. Thank you for both for being here tonight.
You have a question. Is this committee is a subcommittee of like city council?
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
All right.
Second up is Tom McEnany, and he wants to talk about legislative issues.
Mr. McEnany, come on down. I am not going to read all of that paragraph again for you.
You don't need to. I've heard it before.
But go ahead and introduce yourself, and when we're done with that, we'll start the clock.
Okay, Tom McEnany, citizen, close enough. So amongst all of the things that I've gotten myself involved with, politics has been one of them. My wife, who puts up with all of this, is my rock. I have to give that to her, even though she's not listening. But I barely made it here because I was on a Zoom meeting with some state legislatures, and it came to my attention a couple of items, but the one thing that came to my attention the most was that through the legislature right now, they're trying to give ODE total control, and I don't know if anybody knows about this, over all school boards across the state. Gives you no power, cuts you off at the knees. So basically what I'm asking, all of you listening, if you have a voice, use it. Tell these people unacceptable moves. The gentleman and lady that I was speaking with tonight, they were in great opposition against this because they think it is totally wrong. I think it is totally wrong. And I would hope that you guys would think that's totally wrong as well, because it takes your voice away from what you do here. And we all know that you do a great job here, and we appreciate it. And all of you who are running for re-election, it almost kind of makes it a non-issue if they take your voice away. That's basically what I had, and not some more, but probably not the best time to take that up right now, because it takes parental rights away, and I think everybody needs to look into what the state legislature is trying to do with that as well.
Perfect.
Very, very important to look at that.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you, Tom. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Good evening.
And that is it that signed up? Is that correct?
That's it. That is it. Correct.
Okay. And with that, on to item N, adjournment. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for joining.